Hello, welcome to another episode of Manga Monday. I am Jason Hahn, writer for ScreenRant.com, and I am joined today with some other Screen Rant writers who specialize in the manga and anime section. And today we're talking about the newest chapter of Dragon Ball Super, officially chapter 88, called Superheroes Are Born. We've been waiting a long time for this new chapter, and they kind of took a few months off since the ending the Granola arc. But we'll dive right into it after introductions. But I, Jason Hahn, write a lot of video game related stuff on Screen Rant, but a huge manga fan, so wanted to start the podcast to talk about new chapters of manga. And I got some buddies with me to help me do it. Carlisle, how you doing today, man?
Hey, I'm Carlisle. I'm another writer at Screen Rant in the anime and manga section, and yeah.
Absolutely. Well, it's always good to have you on, man. He's also on a lot of our My Hero Academia podcasts.
Yeah.
Always good to have him on. But we also got Steven today, man. How are you?
Hey, good. Yeah, my name's Steven. Like Carlisle, I write for the manga, anime, comic section of Screen Rant. Also, some interviews here and there. But yeah, interesting chapter to talk about that we have.
Very interesting. I fresh off of reading it, I didn't love it. I mean, it was kind of revealed that this was going to be like prequel to Super Hero, which was an amazing movie. Probably one of the best movies I saw the entire year. It just satisfied so many things as a Dragon Ball Z fan. It was just top tier. It was actually one of the funnest podcasts we've recorded. So go back and check that out if you haven't seen that yet. But this one kind of started off on Berus's planet, fresh after them being defeated by Black Freeza. We need to have a better name for that. I loved his new color scheme. Like, we got the official coloring, and he still retained some of his like white and purple, but his like head is black with the purple on the head still. I think it is so much more rad looking than Golden Frieza. I thought Golden Frieza was just kind of like, oh, all right, well, I guess you're doing the whole Super Saiyan coordinate, sort of thing, whatever. But much like Super Saiyan Blue, it just kind of felt like, well, how is that better? You're stronger? Okay, whatever.
Nothing is as bad as Rose, man.
Rose? Oh, well, yeah, especially
Yeah,
I haven't read that part of the manga. I was an anime only for a lot of Super, but the whole like, I can't even explain where this power comes from. It's just like, oh, that is the laziest writing. It was cool. I thought Rose was cooler than Golden Frieza, but that's another topic for, well, maybe we'll get into that later. But yeah, I enjoyed, like, Trunks and Goten have taken over the mantle of Great Saiyaman. Totally cool with that. I thought their intro was really cool and neat and funny. I mean, at the end of the day, Dragon Ball and all shonens are supposed to be more comedic than anything. And this entire chapter felt like that, which, doesn't for a lot of people, especially like old school Dragon Ball readers and stuff like that. Like, you go back and read or watch some of those, it's just like, it's a lot more silly than, say, like the Granola arc or the Moro arc or something like that. So I could see it being a breath of fresh air for a lot of people in that aspect. But as like a huge fan of everything that they did in the superhero movie, it was cool getting to see a few of the little things connect, like Dr.Hedo showing up at the end. I really enjoyed that. I've got a big old list of notes I took while I was reading this. Yeah, I would love to hear what your guys' like overall first thoughts on the new chapter were.
I mean, I'll just say, Carl, you had a cool. I didn't read it, but you had a cool analysis on the what the disc represents or something, or what that
I think it's interesting. The the disc, obviously, it seems like it's being set up as like the MacGuffin in a mystery right now. This is the thing that everybody's going to be chasing after for the duration of this arc. And given that we know that Dr.Hedo made the gammas from the movie, and these ones that we saw him with in the chapter were called alphas, I assume that data that he gets it back is going to play some role in building the gammas. But it also kind of seems like maybe the gammas might turn out to be inspired by Goten and Trunks.
Oh, I didn't think about that. That's actually brilliant. And totally, I'd be disappointed if it doesn't end up being that. But I almost wonder too if like he made the gammas specifically to counter Goten and Trunks, because we had
Maybe.
this moment in this chapter. Trunks and Goten go to explore this like place, and one of these like zombies ends up taking a punch from Trunks, which was like, okay, whatever. But it's at least like giving Hedo like a bar that he needs to create something that can withstand what the previous things could not withstand.
Yeah.
There's also, of course, the theory that the disc that Trunks found locked away in a safe in this place could be the beginnings of like Cell Max or something. But I like the gamma idea more.
Well, it's so funny. Like, and this is probably what you were talking about, Carlisle, but I just actually just made the association in my head just a few seconds ago. So, like when you're saying it's based off of Goten and Trunks, like it would explain why the gammas are like all like I'm a superhero type of thing, because that's what the Saiyaman. That's probably what you were mentioning. Yeah. So yeah, that's actually perfect. Because when you said Goten and Trunks, I'm like, oh, okay. But it's like, oh, the Saiyamans.
Yeah. They're personas.
Yeah, that's that's
there
brilliant.
was a thing in this chapter that I didn't really thought connected. I just thought it was a weird choice. Maybe it'll come up later. Actually, I think no more I think about it, it makes sense. But I thought it was weird that Trunks and Goten are naming themselves Great Saiyamans like X1 and X2, but it's like quickly revealed that they're not emulating Gohan or Saiyaman. They're emulating a superhero from a video game called Clean God, which sounds like a One Punch Man hero. But I thought it was really odd that they are emulating that rather than the original Great Saiyaman. But why call themselves Saiyaman X blah 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 if they're emulating not Saiyaman? Just kind of a weird choice, I thought there. Also, they're so freaking skinny. Like there's like a panel where they're doing their poses and they're literally this like they're as skinny as I am. Like and they're supposed to be like, out of like the top 20, there's so many characters in Dragon Ball now, but I mean they are technically two of the strongest people on the entire planet. Which I've been rewatching the end of Dragon Ball lately, and while Yamcha and Tien and all of them are training, right? It's on episode 128. No one noticed. They're like going through the woods at night, and this is like before they train for the final tournament. So at that point, they are also like, some of the strongest things on the entire planet. And they hear like wolves like howling or something. I'm like, what was that noise? Oh, this is scary, guys. I'm like, you guys literally cannot be harmed by anything in these woods. So why are you afraid? And this chapter did that too. With Trunks being like afraid of ghosts and goblins and stuff, which adds some levity to it. It's meant for humor, but it kind of bugged me a little bit. Just like, Trunks, they literally can't do anything to you. Why are you afraid of these?
Yeah, I mean, just like kind of going off of that, like I know it's kind of ironic because like one of those things where we've always wanted Dragon Ball just to delve more into the characters rather than just focusing on the fighting, but it's like all the times when it happens it just doesn't doesn't do a good job, like any of the slice of life type of deals. Like I've always felt like and that's what they're trying to do right now, but it's like this is just not good. I don't know. It's kind of sad because like I see like because it's the type of things where this is what we want. Like, we want to learn more about the characters, and it's like, oh yeah, like you're saying, Trunks is scared of ghosts. That's kind of funny, we learn something about him, but it's like,
right.
I mean, that's just my.
I mean, it's been a couple months, obviously, since I read the last chapter, but it just feels so like such a sharp turn. Like,
Yeah.
I don't mind the slice of life stuff. Sometimes it can be really fun and relaxing to watch. So for some people, that's all that they like to watch is slice of life stuff. And this chapter was very, very slice of life, and especially if I feel like I went and just read like the climax of the Granola arc and Frieza coming in and soloing Goku and Vegeta, and then you go to this chapter, it's just like, oh wow,
Whiplash.
that's whiplash is a good way to put it for sure.
I mean, the irony is, though, like, again, another irony, like, I mean, it was a thing last year, I don't know, but I read that spin-off manga about Jace. What was it? I forgot his title.
Jason Birder.
Yeah, like he has like his own little like side manga, and it takes place.
Do we get to see Space Australia?
Yeah, I mean, I only read the first few chapters. So.
Oh man,
because that was actually, it was very early on. So it was before I had the full Shonen subscription, so I only had like access to the first 3 chapters. But so I mean, it takes place on a random island with this old guy, and Jace crashes there, and it's just them talking and interacting, and it's like, it was actually really well written, and I enjoyed the heck out of it, and it just kind of made me like, take a step back. So it's like all the times in Dragon Ball, like again, where it's like you want that to happen, you want like to have these just like small moments being explored, but whenever they happen, like in anime only episodes, for example, it's just like, oh my god, just get back to the fighting.
Right.
So I mean, it was exciting, like reading something like that, whereas like, oh, this is actually really good. The dialogue is like the Broly movie, like the dialogue is compelling. I'm actually liking these characters, but
it's informative.
Yeah,
it doesn't feel like it's wasting your time,
or just good. Like, I don't even know if it's like informative, but it's just interesting. Like, it's just, I don't know why the dialogue in Dragon Ball is just sometimes just so bad. Like in this chapter too, it's like, I don't care what's happening right now.
Yeah, I was actually kind of worried because I was like halfway through reading it, and I was like, oh shit, there's a podcast I gotta get to very soon. And just like, usually these chapters take 10, 15 minutes to read, but they just had so much dialogue in this chapter. And I mean, I wouldn't say it was like useless. There's a lot of like, I thought the Pilaf stuff was really interesting because I mean,
Trunks is a villain now, I guess.
Well, I know it was definitely very slice of life in the way of like, oh, let me do this thing to like push my own agenda to help these guys out so then I can do this thing. But he ends up like causing more work for them in the pursuit of causing less work. So it's just very comedic and like stress free. And I don't know. I think I can solidly say I was a little disappointed with this chapter.
Well, I can also say, I mean, it wasn't my thing. I mean, I got an idea from it, but one of the things that Spencer, who wasn't able to make it on this podcast, he noted something, and I didn't remember this, that apparently future Trunks, when he came and saw the Great Saiyaman, like he was like, this is completely stupid. Like, why are you posing like? But so there's that. But then like that made me, it reminded me of how Gohan went through the same thing. Like when Gohan was smaller in the Frieza saga, when he first saw the Ginyu Force and they were doing all those poses, I was like, man, why are you posing? That looks so freaking stupid. And then he ends up becoming the Great Saiyaman. So it's like, even though it's kind of cool, it kind of feels like a cheap knockoff of that. Like the fact that Trunks is now going through the same thing that Gohan did. I don't know. It just, I feel like it was more compelling that, Gohan ended up growing up to be the type of, person that he used to make fun of. And it's kind of different, like with Trunks, because there's future Trunks and then there's regular Trunks. But it was just a much more compelling dynamic with Gohan, I think, just because it's the same guy. or some
Yeah,
experiences.
and that's something I'm really curious to see how they develop Trunks' character too, because I mean, of course, we have the context of future Trunks that we met in Z, and spent more time with in Super, um, and then you have like GT Trunks, which is supposed to be the closest version of this Trunks that we've gotten so far, and oh boy, it's been a while since I've watched GT, but I don't remember them like doing a very good job of like establishing him very much as like a unique character. He just kind of felt like the guy that was there. Um, I don't remember them really like writing personalities very well in that series because they just started like focusing more on Goku again and stuff like that. I could be wrong. It's been a while. But
Right. I mean, yeah. I mean, again, like, and then I'll stop talking. Like, and again,
thank
like,
God.
shut up, Steven.
No,
Like,
we love
yeah,
hearing you, man.
well, because this is also another Spencer idea. That commenting on that. So apparently, because I briefly started watching GT again, but I had to stop for various reasons. But he's he's currently watching through it right now, and apparently, so that Trunks is like apparently he's the president of Capsule Corp, which is what you were saying before.
At that point,
yeah, I think he is the president,
wow.
and so it's kind of like this Trunks is building towards that because he has that thing where he's like, I don't want to be that person. I want to be my own. So it's like, oh, it's gonna be that type of story. The guy who says, I don't want to. I want to be my own person, but ends up embracing it anyway.
Yeah,
because he found purpose in family. But yeah, so that's my last comment on that. So.
Yeah, I did enjoy like Trunks isn't good with technology, which is odd, very ironic. I was almost expecting it to be like at the end when he's just like, "Oh no, you guys need to fix all these robots." All right, well let me help you out, and then he just like is a natural at it and he fixes them all with his super speed and stuff. That's kind of what I was expecting, but that would have solved all the problems and had a happy ending. And I guess that's not what they wanted for this chapter. But I'm really hoping that this arc's not super long. I was very I loved Superhero so much and how they left it off with one of the Gammas sacrificing themselves for the world and stuff like that, and Hedo and the surviving Gamma like kind of moving in on to Capsule Corp. Like, I'm ready for that. I'm really ready for that. Like, Vegeta has a new training partner in Gamma 1, the one that survived. And seeing how Hedo is going to like work with Capsule Corp. Very, very curious on how that's going to work out too. But it just, I don't know. I'm okay with Slice of Life, but again, it was just whiplash going from the end of Granola and then knowing what Superhero is and knowing that Black Freeze is out there. Like, there's just all these big things going on. So this chapter just felt not that. But I'm curious to hear your thoughts, Carlisle.
Yeah, it's definitely rough timing to try to do this arc right after reintroducing Frieza, because clearly, like, that you got everybody excited. That's what people want to see. And now we're doing this other thing, and it kind of makes people automatically dislike this just for existing, because it keeps
for existing.
Yeah, just because it's getting in the way of what they want. And this happens a lot with anime arcs that I see, and I think it's one of the reasons that filler in anime tends to be so poorly regarded. But it definitely has some value on its own. I don't think that it's like completely terrible, but it really is going to have a tough time measuring up to what people are imagining we could be having right now.
Absolutely. You nailed
And
it.
reading it later on, like like if somebody wanted to just binge all of the chapters in like a year's time, this is not going to make any sense at all. Why did we suddenly switch to this?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
just pick a really weird time to catch up on Dragon Ball right now. And yeah. But yeah, I completely agree. And there's a lot of filler arcs that I like watch now and like, oh man, this is a lot more enjoyable than I remember. Like Goku and Piccolo getting their driver's license, or
I can't stand that.
or them playing baseball against the other universe. Like those episodes are just like fun and silly. But when those came out like week to week, you're like, no, we need to get to a universal tournament. Everything's at stake. Why are we playing baseball? Like, it's definitely in the context of the time, and this chapter might be more enjoyable after the whole, this whole arc is said and done, and we dive into whatever we're going into next. But yeah, absolutely nailed it. Like our expectations, when that's usually my downfall in a lot of like series and stuff, is my expectations are so high that I'm unable to enjoy everything they're doing because it's not what I was expecting. But then once I get through it and know where it's going, then I can look at it through a different perspective.
It's interesting. I mean, I guess I'm coming from it from a completely different angle because I mean, I hated. Yes, I will say the word hate. I hated like just chapter 87. I didn't like how it ended. Like I'm still really like, why did I don't like how Frieza came in. Like I knew because it was obvious he was going to come just with the amount of name dropping that we're doing.
Right.
But it was just like I remember like on an earlier podcast, like when we were leading up to that moment, and we were saying like, I wonder how he's going to come back. And I remember, we were discussing like, I wonder if he just like jumps right in. I was like, that is the worst thing that could ever happen because it's just like I know it's kind of it's weird because you always want Dragon Ball to try and be innovative. It's like one of those things that you really want, and like if you think about like the way they've been treating Frieza is he's been getting just much more involved as each arc progresses. Like this is like the fastest that Frieza has ever involved himself in something. But like with me, like I guess I wanted to go back to how it was. Ironically, like I loved it when Frieza was always that bad guy in the background that you had to work towards, and the fact that he just suddenly just showed up kind of shattered that for me. So it's like I didn't even care. Like so going into from 87 to 88, like my expectations were already low. Like I didn't even want to continue that story, but it's just like I just don't think, at least for me, how Toriyama does slice of life or just regular stuff, it just doesn't appeal to me.
Yeah, fair enough.
That's just like it's kind of sad because it's funny because like I do enjoy early Dragon Ball, and because that's really light and fluffy and all that, but it's just for some reason ever since post DBZ, like every time like he tries to go back to that type of dynamic, it just seems to fall flat with me, and it's kind of aggravating because that's what I want in Dragon Ball. Like I want the discussions, I want to get into characters, but I feel like just the way that he does it is just not compelling enough.
Yeah, it's kind of gotten us to the point where we're like begging for more of that. So when we get just a little morsel of it, it's just like, oh God, this is awesome. This is so good. Like it's just that little tease of everything that we want. Like, but there was some good parts in this chapter I thought were pretty good. But yeah, to kind of go back to what you're talking about with like Frieza being in the background and them working up to it. Again, it's just stuff that I'm really interested to see how they get there, because it's one of those things where we've already had, one superb arc with, Namek and the Dragon Ball Z Frieza arc. We've been there. We've done that. We can't do that again. So it's just like, okay, well, what are they planning? Like, is Frieza gonna like set off something even bigger and scarier? Because we can't have a whole nother arc where Frieza shows up and he's like, "Ah, ha ha! I've assembled a new Ginyu Force, and I'm gonna get the Dragon Balls to do something." And you're like, "What? Okay, we've seen this. Is he gonna unlock Super Saiyan 4 now to beat Frieza?" Like, I don't know. I almost wonder if they don't know either, which is why we're doing this. Maybe they're like, oh, we need more time to think of what we're gonna do next. Because I would love to think that they have all of this entire series from what they're gonna do for the next 10 years on a board, but I highly doubt that that's the case.
Yeah, and it's just like because it has to be, and I guess I'm contradicting myself now because I like because I do. They really need to explain why Frieza acted the way that he did. Because I mean, before now, Frieza has always been about the eradication of Saiyans. Like he has this bone to pick with Goku, especially. Like he, and I mean, there's some that disagree, but like I really view like, of course, Frieza was always afraid of the Saiyans because because of the whole
Prophecy.
but I really see it like he's just the straight up racist against Saiyans. Like that's
Yeah,
just how,
yeah.
and it's just like what could be more important than killing Goku and Vegeta, right? You have the chance now. Like you have like it just feels so out of character. They need to
Yeah.
explain what the hell is more like just what could Frieza care about more? Like I don't understand. Like it's like
it's one of those things where it's very common to see this happen at the beginning of an arc where it's like the bad guy shows up, he kicks their butt, and now it's time for our training arc.
Right.
And it feels like we just did that because that's
Yeah.
what happens at the beginning, and we didn't really think about why. So yeah, I would agree.
I
Yeah.
almost feel like, and it's something again that we've only gotten like morsels of, and I think that it's kind of the case is like Frieza's gone through a considerable amount of character development from
Yeah.
his since his defeat at the end of Namek.
Right.
And I could be wrong, but I think that it might have been in the Broly movie. But there was at some point where Frieza like even acknowledges that he's like glad that Goku and Vegeta are like still around because it's like the first time in his life that something has like challenged him to get better. And so it's like him almost acknowledging the same thing like Vegeta and Goku have acknowledged like a long time ago. It's just like we make each other better because we're consistently giving each other something to work towards and overcome. Um, so I almost wonder if, like, again, it was just like from a state of cockiness. Frieza's just like, I am now the strongest thing ever. Let's see if they can beat it. So I'm going to give them a little bit of a preview of it, and I'll give them some time, and maybe we'll have fun again. Like I almost feel like, oh boy, like Goku has infected Frieza with the like love of battle.
I wish he would have just come out and say
Joker.
that.
Yeah, right. How cool would that be? It would be like the ultimate. It's not a romance, but it'd be like the ultimate culmination of their relationship, where Freeze is just like, you know what? I love you, Go. I mean, I love punching you, Goku.
It's like Joker. It'll be like the next Joker. We complete each other.
That's yeah.
It's like I get what you're like. I guess it comes back to if that is Frieza's development and comparing that to Vegeta's. I love it when characters change because that rarely happens in shows like this. But it's like I feel like that would just be I don't know. I don't know if I'd enjoy that much just because all of the like it just doesn't seem as compelling to me as how it would be like where Frieza just wants to eradicate him no matter what. Like because it comes back to Vegeta with this whole thing where when we found out the whole thing where Goku could just be great because he's thriving because of that wish that Bardock made. The fact that Vegeta doesn't give a crap anymore because like ever since that in Buu where Vegeta just finally realizes you're the better warrior than I am, you're will always be better than me, I'm gonna let you fight first. Ever since then Vegeta has just no longer like his hatred of Goku despite needing him and being friends with him was what was so compelling, and that's why I got so excited when Vegeta first landed on planet Cereal because he seemed to be going back to that. It's like I've always hated you, but the only reason why I've been working with you is because we're fighting on Earth, and I go against everything. But then they took that away, and it's like, and Vegeta didn't care about the wish that Bardock made. It's like it'd be on that same level. It's like I love character development, but man, that is not compelling. I don't know if you guys agree or disagree.
I overall I'd say I disagree with that because I feel like especially in the Morrow arc and then even in the Serial arc,
Yeah.
or Granola arc. Oh god, these names. um, like the bits that the manga has like developed Vegeta have been really interesting for me because
Mhm.
like throughout the entire anime, they're just kind of like rehashing the greatest hits of like the best moments of Dragon Ball Z. And then
Right.
I feel it wasn't until they fought Moro, and then you see Vegeta's like regretful for his past actions and the things he did against the Nameks. It's just like, oh my god, give me more of that, please. And
Yeah.
then when he was fighting Granola, it wasn't so much like I think he's just completely done away with like his. He doesn't get angry at Goku anymore. He's accepted Goku and what he does and what he represents for him. But it was when he got to fight Granola and he got to unleash that rage. He's just like, this is what I've been waiting for. I've been waiting for somebody I can just beat the crap out of and not like just I this is the battle feelings that I love having. Um, and so it's kind of strange that this chapter like started with Frieza or Goku or sorry Vegeta looking at the sky and like seeing the new version of Frieza like in his brain and him being upset. I'd almost think he'd be excited about it. He's just like, oh man, there's another battle out there for me. There's another person out there that I want to get stronger than and freely beat the crap out of. Because he just doesn't have that rage. He doesn't have that thing towards Goku anymore. Um, so it's like Vegeta's still kind of finding like his new purpose. And yeah, again, I just all these things that we're talking about didn't happen in this chapter. And I want all of that. And it's just like you go back to like the Great Saiyaman stuff that Z did. It's just like, could we have taken that all out and still be where we are today? Yeah, pretty much. So it's just like, what are they hoping to accomplish with this little Dragon Ball Super arc? Like, what? Because this chapter definitely didn't do anything for me. It felt like this chapter could have not existed, and we would still be, where we want with Dragon Ball
Watch it ends
Super.
up being like the greatest chapter of all time. Like we look back and it's like
Yeah.
there's all of these webs of amazingness.
Yeah, I'm ready for that. Yeah, I'd be happy to admit I'm wrong if that's the case. But yeah, I feel like I've been harping on it a lot. I to kind of look at my list of the things I liked. I thought
It's like small.
yeah, and that'll be the end of the podcast today, guys. I really liked like Goten and Trunks. Of course, same thing with the when Gohan showed up as a high school student and he just goes Super Saiyan and blocks like a bunch of machine gun bullets and stuff. Like just watching like the Z Warriors have to fight like criminals is just endlessly entertaining to me. And watching them like break the gun and then quickly put it into a doggy bag and their whole like, okay, properly dispose of this criminal. Like I was like, what a baller move. Like I'm gonna crush your gun and then tell you to go throw it away. Like I liked that a lot. And Goten using the Nimbus was really cool.
Yeah.
Just a lot of little things like that. I thought were awesome. Also really glad that they made May or Mai like not into Trunks. Like she is secretly like a 67-year-old woman in the body of like a high school girl. So it's definitely weird at this point, especially. But I think it's really cute. Trunks is like still trying to like go on a date with her and take her out, and she's just like, I'm not really into the superhero movies about guys cleaning, whatever. Like I thought that was all kind of fun. But yeah, what were some other bits about this chapter you guys liked? Anything?
I want to talk about Vegeta again.
Go back to like page 1 of this manga, and that's it. Oh, that was actually one other thing to bring it back to Vegeta, I guess. When Trunks is like, oh, I don't like ghosts, they're scary. I'm a scientist, so I don't even believe in them. And then Goten's just like, but both of our dads were like,
oh yeah, right,
dead.
Yeah.
That was the funniest part for sure.
Yeah.
That's good.
And it's like, even at that point, they didn't want to properly explain, like, even when you die, you can still come and fight. Like, that, because that's still like one of the biggest weird things I think about the Boo saga was like, okay, well, Vegeta's got a halo over his head. He's technically dead. So how is he able to fight, and can he die? Like, they don't want to explain any of that. So I felt like they dodged around it here too.
Well, there was one good thing about that, like with Goku, because I remember like there was a moment in the boost books, I actually just wrote about it randomly, that Goku, when he has the halo and he goes Super Saiyan 3 against Boo, and he ends up losing, he was like, oh, when I was actually dead, I was able to power up completely and I would be able to beat Kid Buu right now. But it's the fact that he was alive but not alive meant that he couldn't do it. So it was basically proving that Goku is stronger when he's dead than he's alive type of deal. It's kind of a fun thing, but I just wanted to throw that out there because it's random.
I'll have to check out that article, because
it was because it's right at the beginning when Goku is like they have just gone to the world of the Kais. They've transported Boo to the final battle, and Goku powers up to Super Saiyan 3, and he's like, I just need some more time to power up. And Vegeta's like, okay, I got this covered. Like I'll fight him, and then you can power up. But like while they're fighting, Goku's like, I can't do it for some reason. But he's able to say like, but when I was dead, I was able to achieve what I can't right now, type of deal. So that was kind of interesting. Yeah,
but I think he still ended up being able to turn Super Saiyan 3 against Kid.
Oh no, he did. He just wasn't able to reach its full potential. Like he was still saving, like he was trying to gain more energy as Super Saiyan 3, but he just couldn't because it was draining too much of his energy, which he didn't have when he was dead, I guess. But so it was kind of interesting. But we're just talking about other stuff other than this chapter.
Well, yeah, I mean, I like, especially at the beginning of Dragon Ball Super Hero, the movie, I was just like, this Hedo guy is weird. I don't like him. But by the end of the movie, I was just like, yeah, you get it. Where's this guy going? Let's see where this guy goes. And so getting to see him was great, especially the little like grocery bag filled with Oreos was fun. But yeah, I mean, what else is there really to say about it? I mean,
yeah, I also appreciated the alphas kind of looking like Android 8. That was cool.
Yeah. Oh man, I didn't put that together in my head, but I did, like, when I was reading it, I was like, why does that look familiar? Oh man, I can't imagine it. But yeah, that'd be it. Another bit, looking, I'm running out of notes. Bulma getting on Pilaf's case about the Dragon Balls, and in our full context of watching Dragon Ball Superhero, we know that she is using them for shitty reasons too. But at this point of the series, I really, really enjoyed that, like, what's the worst that Pilaf could do with Dragon Balls at this point? Like, they're just not afraid to, like, oh yeah, sure, I don't care that you're stealing the Dragon Balls, says Trunks.
Like that could be potentially interesting. Like that's what I was really interested in, because that could lead into GT again.
I was just about to say that. Yeah.
It feels like that could really be something cool, but I don't know if it's just a one-off thing. I hope not, because that is kind of interesting. But
yeah, and I think it's, again, one of those things where we have such a good time on the podcast, and we come up with great theories on where the series could go. Like, let's go see what Raditz is doing in Hell, because Goku's wondering what Saiyan heritage is now, and it's like, oh my god, that'd be amazing. And maybe that'll help them unlock Super Saiyan 4, like, in the canon now. But I would kind of, I'd be 100% cool with them continuing, because they have been doing it, like nitpicking things out of GT that they like, and then repurposing them for something cooler and better. I'd say we kind of got the whole Tuffle thing. We kind of borrowed some things for that. But
nothing's better than Super Saiyan 4, though. Like, you can't top that. That is my favorite transformation in all of Dragon Ball, and it always will be.
And I'd say it's almost gotten, like, it's weirdly managed to stay popular. Like, as we've evolved into, like, Blue and Ultra Instinct and stuff like that. I can't say I've watched all of the Super. What is it called again? What's the, like, the I want new Dragon Ball Z. We have Dragon Ball Z at home, and it's the weird offshoot anime that's going
Oh,
on.
I don't even.
Yeah,
It's not called
Heroes
Super
or
Hero,
something like
Super
that.
Missions. Because I was about to say it's not called Superheroes because that's the name of the movie, so it'd be even weirder. But oh man, I can't think of
I
it.
don't even read it. Then I didn't even go
Yeah,
into it.
I watched like the first like 15 or so episodes, and it's just all a fever dream because it takes away all the stuff that you thought you didn't want in Dragon Ball, and then you realize, oh man, no, we need all that because it gives the pacing and stuff. Because it's literally just like, and then a rift opens up, and Super Saiyan 4 and Jiren show up, and now they're fighting, but then we're gonna jump over here, and you're like, this is too much.
It sounds kind of like animated fan fiction.
It is. It 100% is. It's just like I've absorbed all the multiverses. You can't defeat me, and you're like, that's ridiculous.
That's crazy.
That is too silly. Um, but let's see. I'm glad that Shu is alive. Dog years must not be work the same way in this universe. Um, I liked Bulma's dad is still around with his
Yeah.
wife who also hasn't aged, and he's like
Was
the
the cat?
richest.
Oh, yeah. Is the cat still on his shoulder?
Oh, I didn't see the cat.
Like,
No, he's
I
got
was like, I
that
wonder
new
if the cat's still
dinosaur. I
there.
really enjoyed. He doesn't even hold the leash. He invented something to like float and hold the leash for the dinosaur. But Bulma's dad is like the richest guy in the whole world, so of course he doesn't understand like gifts. It's just like, oh yeah, I'll give the kindergartner a castle. Like, no, well, it's not. It's not a good gift.
What are you talking about? It's an amazing gift.
Yeah. But yeah, guys, that's about my notes. Any other thoughts on Dragon Ball Super Chapter 88? I feel like we need another chapter to come out soon, so then this one won't be the newest chapter of Dragon Ball Super.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I can say is that I'm hoping that a lot of the things that are introducing here will be expanded on and just done better. Because I do like the whole thing about Trunks being into my like it's interesting. It's like it adds a little bit of flavor that is missing in Dragon Ball. I'm hoping they'll kind of continue that, but make it more than just I want to go out with you. No type of deal. Like
Yeah.
it's more nuanced than that. I feel like the fact that Trunks is scared of ghosts that can maybe build into something more. Like I feel like maybe the only reason why they introduced it was so that there would be this whole thing because they're dealing with that type of ghosts and stuff now. Like I feel like if they expand upon that, that might be a fun little plot point to explore. Yeah, but other than that, it's like I don't know what the purpose of this was. Like the best thing is what Carlisle came up with, where it's like the Gammas were based off of the Saiyaman alternate personality. Like that's like, oh, there we go. That's awesome.
Yeah.
It's over.
Yeah.
That's all we needed.
Getting the origins of the gammas, I guess, and that's almost what I'm afraid this whole thing is going to be about. Is it just ends with the gammas like walking out of a pod, and then there's like, all right, we're going to be on another 3-month break while we prepare the next arc, and we're like, oh no.
Well, because no one even realizes about I forgot his name. The kid genius.
Hedo.
Yeah, because they meet him for the first time in the movie. So since this is a prequel, they're not going to meet him at all during this. So it's like, what's the point of seeing him? Because it's like, I guess we can see like what he's doing in the background while this other stuff is happening. But it's like they can't meet, they can't collide somehow. It's like,
I don't know. I am very anxiously awaiting the US release of Dragon Ball Super on Blu-ray and 4K. But I mean, Goten and Trunks show up after like Cell Max has happened. So at that point, Hedo's like not really there. I don't really know if they like get to a situation where they like see him or run into him. So I almost wonder they might still be able to interact in this, and Dragon Ball Super isn't affected or something. I could be wrong.
That was also one of the problems they had with the film. Well, I have even had more of a problem with the film now than I did before because I didn't know if because I knew it was canon, but I didn't think it would actually be, linked to the manga. But it's like now I'm even more upset because like there was the thing that they came up with, why everyone on Earth couldn't get in touch with Goku and Vegeta was because that the container of ice cream fell on top of. Isn't it like that was the only reason? So
they
it's
were
like
distracted. Yeah.
like if it was actually like if they made it like into this whole phenomenon like that, maybe it was blocking it. Like that, this could explore that, but it's like, oh wait, no, because like I always thought like they could have just made it so much more compelling, and that it could be something that they expanded upon in the manga, and like this would have been a perfect time to maybe do something like what was blocking the transmission type of deal.
Yeah.
But that's not happening because it was just a stupid ice cream cap that fell on top of his thing.
I know. Again, it's one of those things where we might be coming up with better ideas than the writers.
Thing, that's why I don't agree. Like I know they have assistants and stuff, but it's like that's why it makes no sense to me that manga is usually just made like the main person is one person. Like you need to have. That's what I mean. I love anime and stuff, but that's why a lot of shows are just so much better, like just regular shows, because they have a board of writers who are throwing out ideas. And we just have like, then there's this one guy who has all the ideas and he has assistants, but like usually probably has last say and the assistants are just assistants. It's like, you need to have people talking in a room to come up with great ideas. I don't know. It's just.
Well, yeah, and it's something that I've voiced my frustrations with on previous Dragon Ball Super podcasts is just they have so many different teams working on Dragon Ball property stuff right now, and it's just like just call each other, like coordinate, like have this all line up into something. And this chapter does that, just not in the way that we want. But I mean, this is like linking the new movie that just came out to the manga. But it's still just at this point, we don't know what we're going to learn from this that had to be learned before we move on. But again, like I love the idea, like what if Hedo accidentally created something that interferes with angelic like power? Like what if that was the reason that they couldn't reach Berus and Whis was because he had accidentally developed something that is like anti-god energy, and then bam, we eventually get our gods versus mortals war that we all speculated during the last arc of Super's anime, or at least people on Reddit were coming up with that, and I was like, oh my god, that'd be so cool. Especially with like we still didn't get to like learn what killed Jiren's master and all that stuff. I'm still hung up on like how the hell Jiren got that strong, but they didn't explain any of that. He trained real hard. Okay, thanks. I'm anxious for more. We'll see what chapter 89 brings, but yeah, guys, I guess we'll go ahead and move into plugs and recommendations unless you got anything else.
No, I don't. Carla, do you have anything? I mean, yeah.
No, I'm trying to hold on my expectations and wait until we've got a little more chapters of this to make up my mind on how I feel about it. Okay. But as it stands, there's only so much to say about what we have right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm happy that you guys made the time to be on to give the few thoughts that we had on this. For being like such a thick, heavy chapter, we didn't have a lot to say about it. But this has been Mega Manga Monday's discussion on Dragon Ball Super Chapter 88. Just Dragon Ball Super Heroes, the movie was just so good that my expectations were just really high for this. So we'll see where they go with it. But Jason Han, we have Mega Manga Mondays. I hope you enjoyed this. Check out our previous discussions. As I said, we did one on the movie. We talked about most of the Granola arc. So please check that out. We're on Twitter at Manga Mondays, and we have a whole website, megamangamondays.podbean.com. But you can also YouTube, Spotify, wherever you listen to podcasts, please follow us. And You can watch our visual podcasts on YouTube and leave some comments if there's anything that you feel like we missed that we should bring up, that we should talk about. Also, if there's some parts of this chapter that you really enjoyed, would love to hear your thoughts as well. But I also have a YouTube series called Hansi and Friends. I do comedic Let's Plays with buddies. It's really just some really good friends hanging out and playing some cool video games, making each other laugh. So if you like hanging out with friends and playing video games, it's probably going to be up your alley. So check out Hansi and Friends and subscribe, please. But Carlisle, how about you, man?
As I often end with, I'd end my thing by saying, please check out Elven Revenue Service, my visual novel that I've been working on. You can follow it on Twitter at Elven Revenue, still for the time being. And yeah.
Yeah, I saw your tweet the other day, and I kind of agree with you. I think Lilith is like one of the coolest designs you've done.
Wait, is that the purple one?
That's Sonia. Lilith is red.
No, she's my favorite.
Yeah,
I like both Sonia and Lilith a lot. I think Lilith is winning right now, but it's tough.
Absolutely. Well, you're doing a great job with it, man. I'm anxious to see more of it.
Thanks.
Yeah. And Steven, how about you, man? Any plugs or recommendations today?
I mean, I would just say, just because I mentioned it earlier, so I had to look for it on the Shonen app. So the guy's not Jace, I don't know why, but Jaco.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So no, not Jace from the Ginyu Force. Maybe that's what you're.
I was thinking about Jace from the Ginyu Force.
Yeah, that's where Space Australia came from.
Yeah, I was like, what are you talking about?
Jaco, Galactic Patrol. I read that first chapter.
Yeah, so it's 10 chapters. At the time, I only read the first 3. But it was actually like what we're talking about right now, slice of life type of deal. It's like, it's so good. Like I got really excited. I remember when I was reading it, just because from what I read, like it's just Jaco meets like this guy on an island, and just the guy's whole backstory as to why he's there and why it would be problematic if he leaves, even though there's a force that's making them have to leave the island. It's just very well written, and it's very like it's one of those ways where Toriyama can write these type of subtle moments that aren't like punching and explosions and Kai blasts and Super Saiyan 10s. Like it's like actually just this normal story, and it's actually very interesting. So like just to get some good Toriyama goodness, I would say check out Jaco the Galactic Patrolman. And if you have a subscription to the viz.com, then you can read all 10 chapters. So
nice.
There you go. There's that little slip. Yeah, so I recommend reading that because it is really good, and it's Toriyama. It proves that Toriyama can do this type of stuff really well. So.
Do you know, did he write and draw that? Because I know that came out like before Dragon Ball Super restarted. So it was like everyone was just like, holy crap, new Akira Toriyama stuff.
It actually doesn't say, well, actually, because it usually says on the homepage. So I'm going to go clicking on chapter 1. I'm going to go see written by.
Well, while he looks that up, I'm going to have stuff in the description for our links and recommendations. Would really appreciate if you check that out. We put a lot of hard work and passion into a lot of our other projects as well. Please follow us on Twitter. I said all that stuff already. Running out of time, Steven.
Wait, no. Well, it's probably written by him and drawn by him because it looks like his art style. So it just doesn't say.
Right. Oh, it's cool. We'll find out, and I'll put the exciting results in the description. But thanks again for your time today, guys. Please check out our stuff. I'll have our links to our Screen Rant articles as well. I've got a big one centered on the story of Armored Core coming out pretty soon. So that was a doozy to write. But thanks again for your time today, guys. It was a lot of fun hearing your thoughts and stuff, and I look forward to the next one.
Yeah, definitely. If the next chapter is good, man.
Peace.